Alright, so in the last video we created the two files that are required, which are index.php and style.css. We created the comment block in our style sheet. We also created the base HTML and the head tags, along with some of the dynamic code that we can use in WordPress. What we're going to do now is go in the body, and I'm going to just add some very basic HTML. Okay, we're going to create a header tag, which is an HTML5 tag, and let's put an H1, and in this H1 I want the website name. Now remember, we use this piece of dynamic code in the title. We can actually take that and put that in the H1 as well. So now if we save that and we look at our front end, we get this WordPress dev. Alright, now if we wanted to change that, we could go to settings, and where we have the site title, we could change this to, we'll say, my website. Save it, and now that changes to my website. In addition to the name, we can also include this tagline. Alright, so to do that, let's go and we'll say small, use small tags, and in here we want that blog info, but instead of using name, we want to use description. Alright, now if we go and look at that, reload, you can see we get just another WordPress site, okay, which is coming from here. We'll say the best website ever. And there we go. Alright, I'm actually not going to put that in small tags. Let's put it in a span. Okay. So let's add some more HTML here. We're going to go under the header, and we'll say div class main. Alright, and what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to fetch our blog posts. And WordPress uses something called the loop, or the main loop, and that is all your blog posts. It'll fetch every blog post that you have, okay, regardless of the category or whatever it may be. Without specifying any restrictions, it's going to get every post. So first thing we'll do is check to see if there are any posts. So we're going to use an if statement for that, and I'm going to use the shorthand. Alright, now you could just as well go like this. Okay, but I prefer to use this syntax so that we can quickly go in and out of PHP. Alright, so we're going to say if have underscore posts. Okay, so that's checking to see if there are any posts in WordPress. Alright, and we probably want to put an else here as well. Alright, if there are no posts, then we just want to let the user know. Now instead of just spitting out text, we're going to use a function. We're going to say echo WP auto P, and what this does is it takes double line breaks and automatically makes them into paragraphs. Alright, so it's a good function to use when you just want to output text. Okay, so we're going to say sorry, no posts were found. Alright, and then here let's just say this is just temporary. We'll say post found. Alright, so let's go and reload, and you can see we get post found. Now if we go in our back end and go to posts, you can see we have hello world. Let's go ahead and move that to the trash. And if we go back and reload, we get sorry, no posts were found. Alright, so we know that that's working. Now let's go into the trash and just restore that. Okay. Now obviously we don't want to just tell the user that there are posts, we want to display them. So let's go back into here, get rid of that, and we're going to use a while loop for this. All right, actually we need our PHP tag. Okay, so we're going to say while have underscore posts. Okay, now with WordPress, we have to use this thing called the post. So right here, we're going to say the underscore post, which is a little weird as far as the syntax. I've never really seen this anywhere else aside from WordPress, but just know that you have to have this as well. All right, then down here we're going to say end while. Again, this is just using shorthand syntax. You could just use the curly braces. But what we're going to do here is when it finds a post, we want to get the title. So actually, let's put this in an H3. And we'll say PHP the title, which is a function. Okay, let's go and reload, and now you can see that it's getting the hello world title. Now just for example, let's go ahead and create a post. Okay, so we'll call this my blog post, and let's just get some sample text. Okay, so we'll go and paste that in. Let's make this a couple paragraphs. Okay, and let's publish. Now if we go and reload, you can see it gives us my blog post. Now to get the actual content, we'll go right under this, and let's say PHP the content. Okay, you can see WordPress makes it really easy in terms of the names of the functions. Okay, so now that's getting us each blog post content and displaying it. Now you'll probably want the date. Okay, there's different things that we'll want to display: the date, maybe the author, categories, things like that. So let's go right under the title, and we'll put in a div. We'll give it a class of meta. Okay. And let's say created by, and then we want the author's name, so we can say PHP the author. Go back, reload, and you can see we get created by admin. Okay, that's the username of the person that created the post. Now if you want the date, we can say created by the author on, and then we'll say PHP the date. See what that gives us. Okay, created by admin on May 13th. So it gives us the date. All right, now you can format the date in a lot of different ways. If you know PHP and you've worked with the date function, you know that there's a lot of different formatting options. So let's take a look here. So these are all used to format dates. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this because it's a lot. There's examples down here. For instance, let's grab this. Okay, we can take that and we can actually put that in the date as a parameter. Okay, let's see what that gives us. And you can see now we get this format with the day, the date, the time, PM or AM. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways you can format it. One thing that I like to do is I like to use the time instead of the date. Now if you just use the time like that, it gives you just that, the time. It doesn't give you the date, but you can actually format it to give you the date. Okay, so in here we'll say F lowercase j Y for the year, and then for the time we'll say G:1 A. Alright, and if we take a look at that, it gives us the date and the time. Okay, so it's all up to you. It's all preference. So before we go, let's just get a little bit of styling going here. Now I'm gonna add a footer to the bottom here. Put a paragraph in here, and we can actually make this dynamic. Let's do, we'll put a copyright, and then for the year, instead of just typing in the year, we can use the date and then just pass in as a parameter Y. Okay, if we look at that, so we get copyright 2016, and then if we want the site name, we can just say blog info, and we'll pass in name. Alright, so now we have a dynamic footer. Now just to add some base styling, let's go to the style sheet, and let's do body, font family. Now the idea of this whole project actually is not to create some great looking theme. I just want you to get familiar with the PHP code and how themes are set up. Okay, let's say font size 15 pixels, color, I'll do dark gray, let's say background light gray. And then we'll take the header, and let's see, let's do background. We'll make this darker and make the color white. Let's make sure the H1 is white, and we'll add some padding. Okay, for the body, let's say margin 0 and padding 0. And header H1, I'm going to set margin 0, padding 0. And let's set the line height of the body to 1.7 em. Alright, now the reason you see this up here, this space, is because we're logged in as an admin, so even on the front end it knows that, and it's trying to display the admin bar. Now it's not displaying because we don't have the special function for it to display. So let's go to index.php, and then down right before the body, the ending body, we're going to say php wp underscore footer. Okay, and if we save that and go back and reload, now you can see that we have the admin bar. Alright, I'm actually going to add a little padding to that H1 on the bottom. And then let's add a container div. Okay, we'll say container width will be 1020 pixels. We'll set margin to 0 auto and overflow auto. Alright, and then we'll go into the header and say div class container. Okay, we'll do the same thing in the main. And in the footer. Okay, so now everything's moved in the middle. And then let's add a little bit of styling to the footer. Just copy what we have here in the header. Okay, we'll text align to the center. Alright, let's add a little bit of margin to the main div. Okay, so now you can see that we have our header, we have our main area, we're looping through the posts, displaying them, and we have our footer. Now, common practice in WordPress is to break the header and footer into their own files and then include them in the index. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new file, call it header.php, and then create a new file called footer.php. Okay, and then let's go to index, and we want to go from the very top down to where the ending header tag is. We're going to cut that, and then we're going to replace it with php get underscore header. Go into header php, paste that in, save it, and then same thing with footer. We're going to get from the bottom up to where the footer starts, cut it out, replace it with php get footer. Okay, paste that in the footer file, and everything should look the exact same. Alright, good. So I think we're going to stop here. We got quite a bit done. In the next video, I'll show you how we can actually make it so that we can click on these posts and it'll take us to that actual individual post page.